Hello, and I want to share with you today some tools that are about how to take the stress out of life through the dance class or through dance. And this is something that I've spent several decades working on how to integrate those kinds of things into the regular classroom. So what I want to share with you right now is some preschool. So I want to share with you Shake My Sillies Out, which I know many dance teachers will have used for their preschool classes, but I want to explain a little portion that really just kind of takes it and twists it just a little bit, but gives you a little bit more power. When you go to shake, you are actually putting space in between the joints. And then in that song by Raffi, then it goes to jumping, goes to yawning, you do a couple different things. The yawning is going to actually release a lot, particularly coming out of that jaw. So to yawn and actually get into a yawn is perfect for de-stressing the body. Jumping would have pushing through the feet. There's a couple other pieces in there, but the part I want to talk about is the shaking part, because what you want to do is find a way to be really soft and relaxed. And so you might start with some really deep breaths before you even put the music on, and fill that up. So you have a big breath in, and your belly's going to be moving, and then let that go. And when you make that, that is also a de-stressor. So if you open it, and then if you turn your head one direction and breathe out that way, so you breathe in, and then breathe out. And then try the other side. Breathe in and breathe out. All of that is going to get you started beforehand. And this expansion and contraction piece is when you start to actually build energy. Comes through the center core of the body. And I did talk a little bit about some of that in the archetype movements that I did on the lesson about the star. So that's another place you can go for some tools. But if we go into expand and contract the breath, when you have the breath filling up the body with energy, you have it start to fill up the joints when there gets to be enough. And so when you go to do the shake, so you could do shake this way, but if you really think about how to shake, pull it through and let it go. And then just let that flow right off the fingertips, right out the body. So instead of just shake, you could wring it out a couple times, okay? And then when you start to shake, you want to think about how you can get the whole body involved and open up the joint. So you're actually talking to them about how the bones go together, but how there's also a space in between the bones, and you want to put some space in the bones. So if you're going to shake your sillies out, and the same goes for the legs and the feet and the ankles, really important. If you shake one side of the body and don't shake the other side, you will notice a significant difference between the two sides. And you'll notice that this side that was shaken will often feel longer and bigger. And that's what you want in dance, because you want that space to be able to open you up into the next movements. For anybody that's been sitting at their desk, or they haven't been moving a lot, or maybe they had a long car ride to get to the dance class, then they can be very compact. Their breathing will be small. And as soon as you get them breathing deeply and expanding, then you're going to have someone who isn't stressed to learn a new move. They're going to be a little bit more relaxed with it. Okay, I hope that helps. Enjoy Shake Your Sillies Out by Raffi. One of the favorite workshops that I attended was a kid dance workshop that happened down in Florida. And at that workshop, I was completely transformed as a dance teacher. I was shown how to just totally bring creative thought into the classroom and into the whole process of dancing. I came back from that workshop. I ripped my studio apart. I repainted the whole thing. I had all kinds of props and hand pieces and puppets and and music and everything that would go together to really build a creative process for dancers to learn with. That has transformed my teaching all the way along. I love teaching with puppets. I love teaching with props. And a lot of times we focus on the dance step to make sure the dance step is right. But the creative process is so critical for the movement to be correct. Because when you understand that you want the umbrella to go up and Singing in the Rain is coming down and the umbrella goes up and you want to be reaching as far as you can, if you're thinking technically, you can have a really tight position. If you're thinking creatively how you want to get it up there, sometimes just the thought process will shift it around so it's a big open space. And that's when you start to get more expression from the dancers, more ideas of how to move, and they start to explore movement within their body that feels really, really good. So the song I want to talk to you about that came from the Kid Dance workshop was called Fun with Feelings. I cannot find it on the internet anymore. I couldn't find it in Spotify, so I can't offer you that piece of music. So I'm going to offer you the idea that they created. So Fun with Feelings was taking some kind of movement pattern. So maybe it was just walking. And then you get grumpy. So then you do the expression of grumpy. And then you shake it out. So we did shaking in the last little episode, or video, shaking it out. And then you would move to the next one. So maybe it's surprised. So maybe surprised, you're skipping around the room and you're so excited because you don't know what's going to happen. And then the music's going to change, let it go. Okay, and I do let it go as just move on to something else. So each time there was a wonderful movement pattern that you could put in. Maybe the next one could be marching. And then there would be some kind of emotion. And you would go from a positive emotion to maybe something that's a little bit more deeper. So you could be somebody who gets really angry because something didn't go their way. You got the wrong sandwich at lunch. Ooh, you're so angry. The clenching of the fist, the releasing of the hands. That little action right there is a de-stressor. As soon as you press into the palm and let it go, it's a de-stressor. So this little dance action going all the way around is a way for you to have the dancers express how they're feeling or not feeling and let something go, bring something new in. And of course, you always finish with happy. And then you can have their happy dance at the end. The music that was used in Kid Dance was perfect for that. But I can leave that up to you because I'm sure you could splice together some favorites of the kids, or you've got one piece of music they really enjoy or a classical piece of music that kind of takes you weaving through some emotions and you could build that in. It's worth the time to take that expression and make it a part of what you're doing as you're sharing with your classrooms, especially at this time when kids are very, very stressed and so are adults. So it's a good time to be there. Remember, for adults, it could be as simple as make a fist and let it go. That can change things too. I'd like to share with you now bubble bath. So there's two ways that I brought this into the dance room. So if I have older dancers, we might make a bubble bath. You could start with the hands apart and then just bringing them, kind of feel where they come together. Right now, I can, my energy is only about here because my hands kind of pull together and then they stop. And there's just this little bit of resistance I can feel in my hands. So that tells me my energy is not as high as I'd like it at the moment. But what it does tell me too is that I can play with it. So if you tell whomever you're working with, you've got this beautiful bubble full of any kind of energy that you want. You can give it a color. And it might be a rainbow, so then the bubble could choose whatever color it wants to be. It might be blue, might be their favorite color. Pink might show up, purple. All right, and you can just kind of play with it. Now what we're going to do is turn it into bubble bath. So if I'm working with all age groups, then what I would be doing is taking and making the bubble bath. So that energy ball right there, I'm just going to mix it up and stir it so it becomes more bubbles. And I would bring it around, down, on my feet, over my head, anywhere that I could reach. I could put it behind me, all right? And I can pull it in. So if I want to pack that energy around me, I can do that. Pack it across my back, over the top of my head, all right? And then I can put some bubble bath down by my feet. Just let my hands twirl. It's another way that I could do it. I could roll it in. If we get too much bubble bath, we can roll it out and make more and share it with others. And I have done it where we've just made so much bubble bath, we've filled up the whole room with bubble bath. Okay, we bring it in. Now if you take your hands, bring them together, probably feel your fingertips are kind of buzzing. And if I just see where the fingertips kind of pause, it's going to be right in here now. So I took my energy from in here, which was quite compacted, to here, just with that little exercise. Now, I have also done this with the Tub Song by Charlotte Diamond, and I have done it using the meridian sweep action as well as the bubble bath idea. And it makes it easy for preschoolers to be able to trace those meridians or those energy lines while they're playing with the bubble bath. So I'm going to give you some examples of the moves, and then you can apply it to the music. I have done it so it's choreographically, I can line the whole thing up, but very often things happen in the room and it's not really important that it totally lines up, so I'll just let it go. So we would start with making our bubble bath, rolling it up. Now, the energy lines in the body, we have 14 that we can trace. And when we trace all of them in the row that we're going to do it in, it actually lines up so there's a flow that comes through the body. And it's going to help everybody to be together that do it in the same room. Energetically, everybody's in the same space because we've all connected by this exercise. This is fantastic for getting a group to be cohesive. You can set up a goal at the beginning too. So maybe you're going to be working on choreography or a new skill. And you say, I easily and joyfully learn whatever it is. Maybe it's some jetés across the room, or maybe it's some chaîné turns. All right, so we're going to start with the first sweep. So we're going to take the bubbles we just made, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull it in, pull it up, and when we get to our chin, we're going to blow the bubbles out, and then just let them float down. Okay, so if we do that, it would be 3 times. Up, blow it away, and let it float down. One more time, and let it float. Now I realize that dancers may have masks on, so they can pretend to blow, and their fingers can do that closed and expand. So they can do it with their fingers, what the air would do, instead of blowing, which is fine too. So now what we want to do is we want to go up the back, put the bubbles into our hair, and then just wash it off our face. So we have up the back, over the top, bubbles come onto our face, but we don't want them in our eyes, so we're going to just sweep them off. Up, we do this one 3 times. So it's come through the hair and pull it off. Now, if you wanted, you can have a peekaboo in there if you're working with 3-year-olds. Peekaboo can be in that spot. So now we've traced central meridian on the front, governing meridian on the back. Now what we want to do is take our soap, and we're going to scrub our cheeks, and we're going to go down the front of the body. We don't even have to touch it, we're off the body. And then we're going to come back in, sweep up to our armpits, and then we're going to come down to our waist. So we can do different body parts and naming if we want. One hand's going to go out, and the bubbles are going to go under the arm, over the arm, and this one's going to come to our ear. And we're going to look away. Under the arm, over the arm, look away. Now I can add lots of things with my feet, but the basics, you're just focusing on bubbles. Okay, so now we're going to go from the forehead. We're going to take the bubbles through our hair, and then just feel the bubbles softly glide down the legs, and then you're going to bring them back up to the top. And this time as they come up, you can imagine the bubbles coming up underneath your chin. So you're sitting in the tub. Okay, so then one hand is going to go out. We go underneath, over the top. This time we're going to look away because our hand is going to come up by our eyebrow this time. So we go underneath, over the top, and by the eyebrow. All right, so the last sequence, we got to make sure we get our ears. So we're going to go by our ears, behind, by our ears, over, in front of those ears, down the side of the body, and then we're going to come back in and find, your hands are going to go by your ribs on the side, find our belly button, so we come across to the front. And then the last one, now if it's little people, I would just leave my hand out in front. Older dancers, we go a little bit wider, so we take one hand across, hand goes underneath, over the top, and then we take our hand, point our finger with this one, pull across the nose, and I usually have them say, I got this. So if we're going to learn something new, they can feel confident before they get started. So there's your pull, I got this. And that's the entire meridian tracing. And we've had the bubbles go everywhere. So what you might want to do is you might pretend that a shower comes down and it rinses them all off so you can have them push the water down all the way to the floor. You can push it away if you want to finish that way, or you can gather up some more bubbles, spin in the bubbles, and then have them make a finishing position. So it's whatever you want to do with the music as you put it together, but it can be great fun as you put all the pieces into an order and they'll remember them. Very simple, and it can be a really good energy booster for people, a way to calm our room down if there's a lot of high energy. And it's also just a great way to bring the whole group collectively together. Enjoy. Let's go to ears. So the ears. Now, when we have a time change, we can change our time clock. If we're traveling, we can also change our time clock. And if we have trouble sleeping, sometimes the time clock is just off. So what we can do is we can rub the ears to bring our time clock back on. This is also very helpful for hearing the music and actually finding some of the beats. Sometimes, as a dance teacher, you will say, would you please listen to the music? And sometimes they can't. They can't hear it because some mechanism is not working, and they could look at you and say, but I am, and not realize that they actually aren't hearing the music. The other thing that this is really good for is anybody who can't stay on the beat of the music. Using this tool will help them actually find the beat. And if you do this collectively together as a group, then everybody is going to be connected into that same beat. This can take a lot of time out of practicing and trying to get some choreography piece to come together in a better way, because everybody all of a sudden will just be on time with the music. Okay, so what you're going to do, there's just base components, but I'm going to add a few extra little tidbits in there. So the first is, it would be just to take your opposite hand, if you can. If it has to be the same, that's okay, but opposite is good. And you would go up by your ear, you would just start on your ear and just like unroll the edges just a little bit. Just firm pressure, not hard pressure, just firm. And then you would go up to the top again. This time you go a little bit further into the ear and just trace along the ear. It's giving it a little bit of a tug. Okay, and coming all the way down. And then the third time, you're going to go in towards the center of the ear and just give a little pull that way and down. Now what you may notice is my ear is going red, whereas this one may not be. It might just because of my time of day, but for the most part, you'll feel the heat start to build up on the ear as everything comes to life. It's amazing. Okay, now that is the mechanics of what you're doing. What you can do is take your hand and go behind your ear and turn your head. If you're going to put your right hand up and turn your head to the left, then what you're going to do is you're going to hum a tune. And everybody could hum Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star if they wanted. So you're going to go here, and your eyes are going to track over to the left as well. So you're looking to the left and rubbing that ear 3 times down. Okay, and it would be, and you're just humming. Okay, then if you change hands, go to the other side, looking the other way, you can say, I easily and joyfully learn my new dance steps. Could say something like that, which would be a sentence. Or you could do math. 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 4. 4 + 4 is 8. And those little skills are accessing different parts of the brain. And you are linking up visual, auditory, and brain, plus cross brain. So you could put all of that in there if you wish, or you can just basically rub. If you do want to do something to do with the clock and the time of day, then you would note what time it is and rub your ears and just say, at this time, for me right now, it's 8 o'clock. So at this time, it's 8 o'clock. This time, it's 8 o'clock. At this time, it's 8 o'clock. And the body clock will actually shift. Now, I've used this tool all the way from preschoolers into grandparents, and I have had dancers who have not danced on the beat of the music completely transform as a dancer just by adding this one little exercise. So it looks simple, looks like it probably wouldn't do very much, but I can tell you it's pretty profound. So give it a try, see what happens, and as a collective group, it's a really wonderful exercise to bring the group together. My next topic is about how to calm emotions. And in stressful times, you'll often see people, they start talking and they'll rub their forehead. Or somebody's writing an exam or an essay, and they're kind of stressed out about working on it. And you can see them put one hand like this, and then maybe they write, maybe they're thinking about what they want to do. That is actually emotional stress release. Those points across the top of the forehead are how we calm our system down. So we already know how to do that, but we can be very deliberate with it. And this is really great for in the dance studio. I have often had dancers who've come in and whatever's going on in their life outside that doorway, it's stressful. And when they come in, they can't focus, or they've had a really hard day and they're really tired. And this can be a great way to be able to give someone a tool and say, I understand, take some time, and then come back when you're ready. So it is just applying the fingertips very lightly on the forehead. That's it. You could do deep breathing with it. You could put it in part of your warm-ups. If you put it right in at the beginning, you'll have a calmness that comes across everybody right away. So this is a great way to start. You could have people lying on the floor, all stretched out, fingertips. You can, lying down, put the hands this way. It's much easier than elbows up. Okay, so you can hold them for like 10 seconds if you like, where I often notice the breath changes. So I'm breathing and then all of a sudden there's like a great big sigh. And it's like, okay, my body softens. That's how I always know I'm ready. My body just really softens. And then I'm ready to go from there. Now you could do it as a collective group and just allow everybody to relax. Or if one person in the room just needed it, you could just say, you know what, just go up in the corner, spend a moment, just collect everything. And when you're ready, come back. It can be so helpful. It's a great tool when you cannot go to sleep. You can put the one hand in one hand, and that will actually calm everything down. And sometimes if someone has an upset stomach, that can also help. So if they're lying in bed, they're just not quite feeling quite right. Sometimes it's emotions and the stomach is the symptom, but it's just emotions. And this can really calm everything down. Now I'm sitting down because there's another fantastic point. So these are the points on the forehead, but there are these amazing points on the foot, which are also great for calming emotions. Now, it'd be absolutely wonderful if you had somebody who could hold the points, both feet at the same time, and hold them for you. and you could just relax. That would be great. But in the dancer's world, it's very often we're there for ourselves and we have to do it on our own. So if that's the case, you could hold the 2 points together sitting on the floor like a pretzel if you wanted to. But what I'm going to do is just show you one at a time. So I've got my socks off here so you can see I've got my pinky toe and my fourth toe, and I'm going to go onto the foot between the pinky and the fourth. I'm just going to put my pointer finger and my middle finger in there. And on the back side, my thumb is actually going to go, it's just below the ball of the foot here, and pull it down just a little bit off the ball of the foot. And you hold it again very lightly because it's an energy shift that you're creating. If you hold it harder, you're actually going into reflex points. So each way that you do something on the body means something different. So this would just be hold it very, very lightly. And maybe you have the group sitting cross-legged and they're holding those points and you're talking about, we're going to try this new step and we're going to put the choreography together. And here's the things that I think are going to be really exciting for you. I hope you're going to enjoy what we're doing. And I know you're going to be able to do that double pirouette right where I need it. Anything like that. You could talk them through it while they're holding that point. And that allows their whole system to be so calm. So if there's something that maybe has been a challenge for them, you might be able to bypass the challenge, take the frustration out, and just bring a calmness in. All right, so this is a great little tool. Again, if you were lucky enough to have somebody who could put their thumbs then would be on the top of the foot, and their two fingers would be on the bottom of the foot, just because of the way things are. And you could hold that way. If your foot was up, they could hold it this way. Anything in that regards works, as long as you're holding those points. Some nice deep breaths. All right, so what I want to talk about, I've called rocking through the feet. So anybody who's a little bit tense, they're going to have their calf muscles usually quite tight, as well as all the way down the back of the leg and the tibials, into where the Achilles tendon is, but the muscles that are around that tendon. And the tendon can hold on to emotion. It is actually a barometer into the muscles. And so what we want to do is calm the system down. And we can do that by just playing with our feet a little bit. So you may have seen my feet first system foot rub. And that would be a great way to charge up the feet. But I'm not going to talk about that here. I'm just going to suggest it if you need to know a little bit more about a way to energize the whole foot. But what we're going to do is play. We're going to play in different dimensions and ways of moving so that we can actually activate how to be completely connected, gravity connected, grounding connected to the floor, and allow those muscles that might hold tight from stress to release. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rock back, and then I'm going to go forward. And my toes are going to grip a little bit, and then rock back. Just very gentle. Everything is relaxed, and just feel the feet on the floor. So if you do 7 rocks, forward and back, and then what you want to do is roll side to side. Now just a little bit. We don't want to put anybody into stress. So this could be, you can already see the way that the wave is kind of happening through. All right, and we've got that. Now what we want to do is we want to rise up onto the ball of the foot and then sink back with the toes. Up onto the ball of the foot, back, sink the toes. Right, okay. Now you have that action started, and you can kind of give that rocking action. But there's this little secret that I love to play with. If you put the palm of the hand up and you put the heel of the hand forward, as you go up, it actually lines up the pelvis into the position you need in order to sustain that rising action. Because a lot of times, especially with younger dancers, they'll go like this and roll out, or one ankle will roll. So this is a great way, if you push through the heel of the hand, rise, and fall, and rise and fall. And your hands are going to get there before your foot actually gets to the top place. So it's pull and relax, and pull and relax. Now, anybody who has tension going on, their calf muscles and maybe a few little choice muscles down the tibials are going to be tight. It'll show up, they'll feel it kind of knot up. That rocking action back and forth, let everything calm back down, and the hands coming through make actually a figure 8 pattern, which is also a calming pattern. So it's just kind of hidden in there. You don't actually see it, but you've got heel, back. Okay. So that little rocking action can really change the way that everything feels. And this could be a simple, put some really nice soft music on and just let them rock and roll back and forth and feel. Feel the connection to the floor, feel the connection to the body, feel the connection of the feet all the way to the top of the head, and just let that come in. And then the whole system will have a chance to calm. One of my favorite patterns comes from tap dancing and is a great way to calm the system, which is kind of hard to believe because it is a little bit tricky to learn. But once you have the pattern, I have used this pattern to calm down and goal set for all kinds of things, or if I need to think about something, sometimes I'll just do this step. And it has 3 different ways that you're putting the foot onto the floor, and those different positions actually access different parts of the brain, but also different patterning in the body, which is really fantastic. So tap dancers know this as a paddle and roll or a paradiddle. I've taught it as peanut butter. I've also taught it as watermelon. So the pattern is a heel onto the floor, a brush back with the foot, a drop of the ball of the foot, and then a heel drop. So there's 4 parts to it. So it's a heel, a brush, a toe, and a drop. Now what's significant about this is the way you place your foot. It's going to access different pieces. So you have your heel going out, the flexing of the foot up. This is going to make a difference on the back side of the leg. Okay, you've also got contraction on the front. And then you also have that heel into the floor. Not that you're going to drive it hard. The brush. So you have this slide, but you also have this change of muscle power that happens. And then when you place the ball of the foot down, the ball is going down where the bubbling springs is, or where the energy booster is in the foot. And then you have that heel drop, which is going to ground it and bring it in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I love to do this sitting at my desk or under the table. Sometimes if I'm in a conversation and I just need a little energy boost, this might be it. Okay, so you've got that little piece. You don't need tap shoes, although it's always wonderful. But it's a great little pattern, too, if you're just on the side waiting for your turn and you want to keep the body moving. This will keep it connected. And as a tap dancer, you can always play with the rhythms of that one, add other pieces in, but that base component can be very valuable. In the last video, I shared with you a tap dancing step, but I also have a step dancing step. And this one is a great one for relaxing. Fiddle music is one of the best kinds of music to lift the spirit and really find some happiness or some joy in music. And very often, I live in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and in Cape Breton, when a fiddler starts up with a tune, we have a pumping action that we do to the music. So we don't actually clap. That is actually taken away from the music. We actually stomp our foot. This little action has a little pump down in the heel that it's exercising. And that pump is sending circulation and sending fluids back up into the body to be processed. It's fantastic. So what I'm going to show you is the step that's called the basic reel step. And it's similar to tap, but has a slightly different accent to it. And is a beautiful way to just practice with the feet to find joy and relaxation. So you want the whole body to be relaxed. In step dancing, everything is completely loose. And you're on that bubbling spring or the ball of the foot, being able to just feel that, right? And what you're going to do is step on your left foot first, and then you're going to slide your heel out, bring it back. You're going to hop, and then you're going to go tap, tap. Step, heel, toe, hop, 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 tap, tap. We often sing it as, we call it jigging the tune, deedle, deedle, dum, dum. So you're actually doing deedle, deedle, dum, dum, deedle, deedle, dum, dum, deedle, deedle, dum, dum, deedle, deedle, dum, dum. That little pattern underneath the table can be fantastic, but also standing on the side waiting for your turn to go across the floor, you can actually put that little pattern in. And again, if you add Celtic music to that, and you're playing some of the musics that have reels, which means they have a four count to it, then if you have that in there, that's got a real nice lift that can really change the atmosphere and the joy in somebody who's a little bit stressed out. So that's another way that you can add to it. So the piece I would like to show you here for the end is Cook's Hookups. And you may have seen it in some of the other videos because it is one of my go-to exercises. Fantastic for de-stressing, but also fantastic for pulling a group together and bringing them cohesively together, for going to sleep, for getting up in the morning, for being organized in what you want to do. This tool is wonderful. And so I'm going to show you seated version first, then I'm going to show you how I actually use it with my dancers in my dance class. So you just cross one foot over the other, cross one hand over the other, and you can leave it there, you can bring it up. Now this was devised by Wayne Cook, and it comes through Touch for Health system or Brain, and it's just one of my favorite things to do because it's so simple. And you're just going to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and just breathe. It's great to fall asleep at night. Or in the morning, when I'm thinking about what my day is going to be like and how I want things to go, I say I easily and joyfully accomplish all my tasks this morning, and I have great joy in the choreography process in the afternoon, something like that. I can just think about all those pieces that I want to put into them. Okay, so that would be how I would do that. And you can hold it for me with an alarm clock, it was as long as the snooze button went, then I would change positions. Otherwise, you could do about 10 seconds if you want. Okay, and then you would put your fingertips all together in front of your belly button. Tongue goes back on the roof of your mouth. And you're just hanging out with your feet parallel this time. And this is part 2. All right, so now I use this in the dance class at the beginning. I do it there after we've done our dance warm-up, my bioenergetic dance warm-up. It's a way for, we've got all the energy flowing. This is just a way to bring it into a figure 8 pattern, which means that it flows quickly and we have a lot quicker ideas and movement options that the body can just grab. So that's where I put it. Now my dancers aren't going to sit down, but they may stand up, or they could lie on the floor, but if it was a warm-up, I wouldn't be doing that necessarily. But I can do it as a standing up piece. So what I'm going to do is just adjust the camera a little bit so you can see the top of my head too. And I've taught my dancers how to use the body pendulum. The body pendulum is when their bodies are ready for the next movement, they'll actually just move. They'll be like some kind of move, might be forward, backward, sideways. So when we do Cook's Hook Up, we cross one foot over, cross our hands over, and we hang out. And when their body is ready to move to the next thing, they typically will just slide over. Now you'd think it was just losing your balance, but actually, when the body's ready, it just signals you. Then your feet go together, fingers here, hanging out. When your body's ready, there'll be a movement. And that's it. I use it so often, you can see how quickly it came in because I was already moving. So some will stand. If their knees are locked, they're not going to move. So they have to be relaxed, which is also a great thing to practice. So just finding the relaxation, and then when the body's ready, there'll be a slight movement. That means Cook's Hook Ups is all set to go. Now I have done this with a group of dancers where I wanted to bring them together into a unit. Maybe we were doing a performance, or we were working on choreography, and we were going to start really putting the whole piece together. Then what I have done is put all my dancers in a circle. Now, with COVID restrictions, this may not be possible, but one day this may be possible, and you may see this video and remember it. So everybody in a circle, all having their feet touching. And then we just hold the positions, and then we put the feet parallel, still touching, hold the positions. So I have done it that way as well. It's a great way for the whole group to come together. Now, restrictions, we might not be able to do that. Maybe you've got your dancers all spread out on the floor. They're all facing forward. What you could do is just leave them facing forward. You face them, and that whole collection can happen, but from a distance with your intention. Okay, I hope you give that one a try. It's been very valuable for me, as well as for my dancers and the performances that we've done.